Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2 3 4. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 3 4. Testing. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 3 4. Testing. Testing. Mic check. Mic check.
Yes.
Takes a trap. I don't know if it's going I don't know if it's going through the thing like that.
Okay, we're getting close, folks. 3 o'clock. Testing 1 2 3 4. Good to go?
Are you waiting on me? I would let's start. I may run out and get someone else, but I have sound.
Okay, sounds good. Good to go, guys.
Ready to get started. I'll get 8.
You good? No, we got a second. Go ahead. Do what you need to do.
If I could run out to the car real fast.
Here, I think I got it. I think I got it. Or something.
I didn't have enough hands to carry everything in.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, that's good.
Here you go. You think that's going to stay?
How's my hair?
Well, I'm just worried that if I move this, yeah, it's going to slide.
Okay. Can you run to the car real?
Okay, I got some teeth too. All right, go Rob.
Here, I think that's good. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. I am shocked and disturbed by the reports of this officer's conduct. The officer's alleged actions fall short of the high standards I and our community have for the San Diego Police Department. I want to apologize to the Ibarra family. This unnecessary act only reopens wounds during an already painful time. I want to assure our community that I do not take these allegations lightly. Officers take an oath to protect and value all life. The officer responsible for this social media post has been suspended without pay, and his police powers have been revoked. Upon learning of this post, I immediately launched an internal investigation. We will be thorough and transparent with our findings, and I will not hesitate to hold our officers accountable. And lastly, let's face it, I clearly understand this is a critical time in relationships between law enforcement and the communities that we serve. I want to send a clear message that this behavior is not acceptable in the San Diego Police Department and does not reflect the values of the men and women of this department. And with that, I'll open it to questions.
Is there anything you can tell us, Chief, at this point about the investigation? As you mentioned, you called for an investigation immediately, and as far as I know, the department started to receive complaints last week. I know it's probably still ongoing, but what can you tell us about what you know?
Yeah, it is ongoing, and immediately, like I said, immediately upon receiving this post and seeing it, and we launched an immediate internal investigation. The officer was pulled from the field, and it's a fluid investigation. I'll tell you that it's still ongoing, and we'll make the disciplinary determination when the investigation is completely concluded. But again, it's where we're at today. I feel confident with where we're going right now with the investigation and the fact the officer's been not only removed from the field, but his powers have been revoked and he's been suspended without pay.
Which social media platform was the post made to, and what was the nature of it? I think we've seen reports of this maybe an Instagram post.
Yeah, that's the way I was briefed. It was an Instagram post that made light of an incident this officer was involved in back in, I believe it was June, an officer-involved shooting incident that the officer was involved in.
Can you tell us about the timeline that you expect for the investigation? Obviously, internal affairs, at any given time it handles many different matters, but in terms of domain, and also, do you anticipate that the public will get answers? There have been instances in the past where you called for internal investigations, and we haven't, always been briefed at the conclusion of an investigation.
Yeah, let me take the first part of the question first. So, obviously, we want to this is a priority investigation for this department, and I've made that very clear to the commanding officer of internal affairs. So this will obviously be the highest priority for that office. But I want to say that we're going to take enough time to be extremely thorough and get to the bottom of exactly what happened, what was posted, and determine that. Now, as far as when I talk about transparency and reporting the findings, I think everybody's aware there is state legislation that kind of does not allow me to be as transparent as I can be, as what I'd like to be in this particular case. So I will do my very best to make certain that the public and the media has as much information that I can legally, put out there, basically, and we'll work through that. And I understand that that's a frustrating piece for the public with the state legislation, and I will, like I said, I'll be as transparent as the law allows me to be. Yes.
Can you go over the guidelines and rules for your officers when it comes to their personal social media pages?
Yeah, thank you. This is something that I, as a chief, and I know our commanding officers, our assistant chiefs, we talk about this weekly. We do have policies that do not allow us to put tweets or posts on social media about our job. Obviously we do that as part of our media services unit, but individual posts from officers, it is against policy to put posts, especially of this nature. And that's why, again, why I'm taking this allegation so seriously, why the investigation has been launched, and what you see in the officer, they've been taken out of the field and suspended.
It seems like it would be surface enough to see a post and make a decision one way or another. What is it that you guys are still waiting for before you take the file?
The officer has due process, and so I need to be able to take disciplinary action on this officer. I need to do a proper investigation where the officer is brought in and interviewed under Police Officers Protection Bill of Rights, otherwise known as PARBAR. And so we will make certain that we do our due diligence, the officer goes through the due process, and then the investigation will come to me when it's concluded, and then I'll make that determination on the appropriate discipline in this case. But I want to be very clear, this behavior is not acceptable. And I will do my duty with the authority that invested in me in my position to make certain it does not happen again.
Do you worry that there is a culture where maybe some officers don't understand that this isn't a... Do you think he was alone in a post like this, or maybe is it worth refreshing other officers' minds what you can and can't do on social media?
To answer your question, I don't believe it's a culture, but it's something that we have to make certain that we don't, right? But also it is something that we talk about. I'll be talking about it to all the captains tomorrow at our weekly briefing. But again, it is something that we talk about weekly. I talk about it at advanced officer training all the time. I talk about it at the captain's meetings. I know it's discussed in lineup. I know our assistant chiefs discuss it with their appropriate personnel. So it is something that we've done. That's why I'm disturbed about this post. And again, these are alleged actions, but as the investigation unfolds, these are the steps I'm now taking.
Is there some concern that there might be backlash for the community because of this? Obviously, there's been a lot of turmoil over the past several months.
No, and I understand that, and that's why I said, you know, there's probably not, I've been in this business for 32 years. I followed my father's footsteps into this business, so I've been around this business for quite some time. I understand it's a very critical time with relationship-wise between law enforcement and the communities that we serve, and, you know, this doesn't help, and I acknowledge that, and this does not meet our expectations. And again, that's why the swift action.
If it were to come out, you know, what the allegations are in fact true, would you guess that those are terminable, it can be terminated for a defense like that?
So are you saying if the allegations are true?
Right. Is that something that you can dismiss or not dismiss? Would you?
Yeah, it could be everything from a suspension all the way to termination. And again, I will make that determination upon the conclusion of the investigation.
Just to follow up on a question that was asked, do you at all fear that something like this could inflame tensions and put officers in danger, either this officer or other officers? And if so, how do you handle that?
It is a concern. And that's why we're being very forthcoming. That's why we're talking to the media, making certain that people understand that I as the chief, and we as a department are taking this very serious, that we're taking steps to make sure it never happens again, and that the officer's being held accountable at this point. And so that is my message to the community, that, again, these actions, these alleged actions, do not reflect the values of the men and women that serve daily and do a phenomenal job. And that's, again, why the swift actions. So,
last thing,
thank
can
you.
you say who was the one that reached out to you guys to notify you of social media?
I was notified from my own personnel. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.